Hello viewer, I am Doruk. I want to talk about Tilemaps for a bit. I don't know, I'm doing this first time, so I'm hoping this works. I wanted to talk about Tilemaps because I have never seen anywhere that really discusses how to make a tilemap system, and I found a way, very limited. But I think my way is interesting in a way because it's really easy to replicate and it's really easy to visualize in your mind as well. So what is tilemaps? The tilemaps are basically, in old games mostly, on old 2D games mostly, they had the limitation on texture size, so they had to have every texture as a tile set, which is like all textures are on a single file that contains all of them and like on a row. And the code basically goes through them in like, first one is like the one, for example, a rock texture, the second one is a grass texture and whatever, and like it goes through them. It's a tile set. That's what a tile set is. Like every texture is mostly the same size, like 16 to 60 or 8 to 8, depends on the game. And it goes through this tile set. The game engine goes through this tile set and picks at the texture and uses it. This is an old method. Nowadays, everyone stores their textures in a single file for each texture, because it's much more performance, the computer performance expanded and the texture size is expanded, so like saving it as an entire single file is not that much of a difference and actually bad. But I was messing around with making my own 2D game, especially an 8-bit like game, so I had to deal with this challenge myself. I came up with a tile set system. Basically it was really easy, just like I just draw an image and then I take each piece by piece automatically in the code. Like let's say that 16 by 60 textures, which is what I had. Code goes through each texture. You just give them like first one, second one, a number, and then code just multiplies it by 16 and then automatically finds which one you want, based on just the number you entered. So I made this system. I was messing, basically just trying out if I can make a 2D game or something like that. 2D game engine. I was learning something that you usually do in coding. Basically you pick some sort of challenge for yourself and then you try to advance through that challenge, see how much you know, see if you can learn anything new, and so on. So I made this system, but I also needed a system for a tile map, like a map system. I wanted to make an open world game, especially like a game that's not procedurally generating, but more so that a 2D game with a giant map. I wanted to make a giant mapped 2D game, basically, and test if I can make one. And I got the tile set system, and I need a system for the map. This is called Tilemap. So there is not much on the internet, so I decided that I will talk with you how I tackled with it. And at first, I thought of my own methods. Basically, I was thinking of, I will make my own file structure, which was gonna be like a list of every tile that's ever on the map is gonna be like listed as a like from top to bottom list, with like their coordinates, like x, y coordinates, and what the tile is in, like in the numbers in the tile set. Like you will also initialize the tile set up the top, which was most common I saw on the internet as well, which I will get into it. So basically I wasn't sure that this was optimized. One of the biggest concerns I had was, imagine that you are going through this map, loading this map. It will take some time to load the entire map. Now, this is not a huge thing. You can do this. It will probably take at worst 10 seconds. At worst. This is like, imagine like a giant map. Because like you are still storing very little, but every time you are changing your view distance, like if you didn't load the entire map at once, every time you change your view distance, you will have to go through the entire list again, right? You have to index it again and again, and this is not great. You will have to go through it and say like, find between these stuff and get the stuff from these to this, right? I didn't want to do this. I need a better optimized method, and I didn't want to personally go through and optimize it myself. I didn't want to make an optimized version. I thought of it like a couple of days, but I couldn't come up with a version that was feasible for me to do, and something that I thought I could have done. I couldn't come up with a way. So I asked the internet, as you do, and internet also didn't have much, since that's why I made this video. And like there was a couple of saying that you should make your own byte-based system, which I didn't know that much of bytes to start with. There was like, you should store on this int byte array, and then you should be like considering this system and like something like that. And like I couldn't do that. I wasn't experienced and didn't know that much. I didn't know that much about bytes. I didn't know how to do this intense conversions and whatnot. I looked around. There was a couple of file types. Like I only saw one, which was something that I didn't like that much. It was basically what I was telling, it was doing the same thing I was thinking of doing. So I didn't like that. Then the rest was like the game engine specific stuff. Okay, this game engine has a tile map already. Use that. Nobody is crazy enough to come up with their own methods anymore, So I slept over it. I took a couple of days and I came up with an idea. So basically what happened was, I can't quite remember how I came up with this, but I was thinking of file types that also do some sort of like indexing, as a example that I can read up, how did they do it. And I realized that every image in the internet is optimized in a way, like file types. We have PNGs, we have JPEGs, and these are like, there's lossless ones, there's lossy ones. I need the lossless one, so I looked at PNG and I realized PNG is storing in two coordinates, right? It is, you have the file size and there's X and Y, and you store data. And it's, there's a lot of optimizers on internet that losslessly can optimize a PNG file also, or you can use programs for it. It doesn't matter. Like there's the PNG method has been overly optimized to suit this kind of stuff, storing data in like XY coordinates. So what if I just use that? That was my initial idea. How can I use a PNG file to do this? So I realized there is basically 255, 255, 255, and then there's also another 255, which is transparency, amount of colors in like a basic RGB colored PNG file, right? You can store, if you like multiply 255, 255, 255, 255, like so, get like dozens of colors, so many colors that it's impossible to have more colors than more data than that. There's an intense amount of data you can store in a single pixel. It's a single index data, but it can go up to crazy numbers. So because we get like so many colors there are. So I realized that what if I give a color to each tile set, right? Imagine I have like a 50 for a tile set, Maybe when the game is close to finishing, if I ever make a game, it will be somewhat maybe 200 tile sets at most, right? For a game. But I can never have more tiles than there are on a PNG file. So I realized if I give a color to each tile and then read that color back, I basically have a file type. So basically what I will do is, I will first check how many tiles I have in the tile set initialized for that map. And then divide that with how many colors there are on an RGB color system, and give a RGB color code for each tile. I decided to do this like sparsely, like each color will have this same distance between, and this will be like spaced between, so that it's easy to read. Since like there's gonna be 60 colors in the end from 60 tiles, for example. If each tile picks a color that's far away from each other, it will be easy to read it for me when I'm doing it and test it as well. So I made this system. I wrote the code for turning RGB to index number, and then I made some other code that can, do all this process. And then I had a tile map basically. What I had to do was I will create an image file, PNG file. I pick PNG, and then I will losslessly compress this. It has to be lossless, and read it back on the game's end. It will automatically pick each color for each tile, and it will read that as that and visualize that. Here's an example right now I'm showing. Basically does that, and I really liked it. Of course, there is people that did this. Another inspiration for me to do this system was a lot of map-related strategy games I know of also use color-based indexing. For example, let's say that they have a terrain and terrain types. They give a color for each terrain and then they draw the map with say colors, and the game just reads which colors are which where and then automatically indexes to there, same. But doing it this way was also really great, and it felt like it was made for it, and I wanted to share this because I hope that someone else like me who are looking for this system as well might use it, or might learn something, maybe like come up with their own methods to use images on something else, maybe, I don't know. Or even if you don't end up using images on anything, it's just that I know, at least from myself, that listening to someone talk about how did they tackle with a problem, how did they solve it, is always inspiring. And I think that, even that, you don't have anything end of this video. You didn't learn anything end of this video. You might have got your own ideas on different stuff, and maybe got inspired to do something else. Anyway, hope the video was good. I wanna do more of these kind of videos if I can, if it is interesting to you too as well. You can tell me any feedback on comments, or if you'd like it or not. See you around, viewer.